Hello everyone, I got some exciting stuff that we're going to do. We are going to do these memorial candle holders. These are out of the um, flowers that I dried from my stepson's funeral. So, what we do, or what I do, is I add my resin to my mold, um, because you want to place your flowers into the resin, because if you pour your resin into the mold after you have your flowers in, it's going to move your flowers. So right now I have a little bit of resin in here already, and we're just going to place these dried flowers that I dried into the mold the way we want them. Baby's breath is a florist's best friend, and in um, resin and flower arrangements in resin, baby's breath goes a long way, um, because it fills in and makes it look fuller without actually using a whole lot of flowers. So, plus, in this case, it's going to stabilize the rose so the rose doesn't move as much or lean on me. So I'm using it as a stabilizer, and it works pretty good that way. When you're doing roses or larger flowers, or dense flowers, I should say, you really want to flood the flower first before you fill up your resin over the flower, because you will end up with bubbles if you don't. So you'll notice that I work with trying to start out filling the rose first. So I have all the flowers already picked out to try to keep the yes, four candle holders that we're going to be working on. I want to keep them uniform, so I already have the flowers picked out that I'm going to use. And make sure that you watch this video all the way through, because I have some very good tips on um, fixing bubbles after your piece is cured. And then I also have tips on how to build up your flowers as you go, even whenever the flower petals have fallen off. So watch this video all the way through. Please like, subscribe, and share the video. That definitely helps me out a whole lot, a ton. And plus, it will hopefully give some other people some tips, and give me some other information, because hopefully people will give me some tips as well. So I'm trying to make this piece not look really busy, but look full. So I'm using kind of like fluffy flowers. I do want to let you know that I do these in layers, so that we kind of get more of a 3D effect instead of a flat effect. So I do it in layers. You're not necessarily going to see me pouring the layers in the video, but this is done in layers. So I'm filling in with these really nice full white pieces. And I'm going to use some sunflowers. Well, they're not really sunflowers, they're more probably like daisies, but they look like sunflowers. So it's a sunflower wannabe. So we're gonna use sunflowers, and we're gonna use leaves, some leaves, and we're gonna build our own flower. So this is what I mean by flooding the rose. This is flooding whenever you flood it into the flower before you actually pour the resin around the flower. Now again, remember, I have a layer of resin in here first. This has been time lapsed a little bit, so my resin's a little bit sticky, which is the way I want it. You can see I'm adding my leaf, and this little daisy here is not all together. It fell apart on me with handling them. So I'm going to literally sculpt the flower as I go. Same with this tiger lily that I'm going to be working with. I'm going to sculpt it as I go as well. So, stay tuned. You really want a good, quite a few sets of tweezers. These tweezers that I have right here come in very handy because of the fact that they're curved like they are, and it helps get these petals in to where they need to be. I'm trying to be very careful and trying not to break the flowers as much as I can, because it really is difficult to try to piece them back together like I'm doing here. But you'll see, I get it. It's going to turn out really nice. It takes patience to do it this way, but once you get the petals into the resin, you can pretty much push them where you want them to go. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to push them into place. And that's why I wanted my resin a little bit thicker, so that they would stay in place and not float off. And I've had people ask me, how do I keep the flowers from sinking? That's because I do this in layers. That's how I keep them from sinking. Like, this is the second layer. We're working on the second layer right here. Because you see my first layer, it's starting to tack up really good. So this is going to be the tiger lily. And see, I had broken petals that fell off. So I'm again sculpting this tiger lily myself. Trying not to break it again. The tiger lilies are very fragile, and they're paper thin, so it does make them difficult to work with, but they are gorgeous if you can get them done. Now, again, I'm doing this in layers because I want this tiger lily to be a 3D effect. If I went ahead and I poured resin all over this right now, that tiger lily would go flat. So this is curing before we move on to the next layer. I wanted to make sure you guys are aware of that there is a time lapse here that you're not seeing in the video. Let me know what your guys' tips are with doing roses and flowers, and let me actually know what the most difficult thing you've done with flowers has been. Your most challenging. These that I'm putting in here now are not really baby's breath. They're a little bit They're not as fluffy as baby's breath, but they're gorgeous because the tips of them are purple and they're very, very pretty. And I just want to fill in up here on the curves just to give it a little bit of fullness. Now, if I were to drop these in without making sure that I had a cure at the bottom first, they would sink to the bottom. So just remember, do them in layers. Work in layers. That way you have a beautiful full effect. And the best way to do that is in steps. So think of it like stepping, like, you're going to step up to the next level as you go. I like to work with having this plywood down so that I can move my piece if I need to. So that's why I'm working on top of the plywood. The good thing with using the tweezers too is you can pick up smaller parts. You can work with smaller pieces of flour. I love how these flowers dried. I mean, I had a little bit of difficulty with a couple of them, but I love the way they dried. Remember my motto, baby's breath is your best friend. Because it really does. I mean, as you can see, it's making this look pretty full by placing just a few little twigs of baby's breath in there. I try not to get too much in it at once or too much in there because you don't really want it to be too busy. And I love these purple flowers. I don't even know the name of them, but I love the way they're just fluffy. They're beautiful. Beautiful and fluffy. But also very hard to dry. I have several different kinds of tools that I work with. This blue tool right here is literally a fondant tool. So basically, if you guys don't know, fondant is the clay of baking because it's a sugary mixture that you're able to roll out and cut out and make shapes and all kinds of stuff for baking. Okay. Hey, I would like to know if I go live, would you guys actually come and watch? Because I've been thinking that I want to do some live stuff, but I'm not quite sure what kind of format I want to do it in yet. Would be live of doing this and live of working my flea market booth. Well, it's not a booth. It's it's a shed basically, but um, I don't know. I don't know if they would consider that a booth or not. But anyway, I call it my shop, my store. So, but I'd like to do some live videos with that as well, if you guys are interested. So let me know in the comments if you are. And again, please like, subscribe, and share this video because it does help me a lot. A lot. Now, I'm going to remind you again that this is actually 4 candles that we work on this video. So I apologize that the video is a little bit long, but I promise you, you will get some very knowledgeable information that is going to help you in the long run. I'm going to show you how to fix bubbles in your cured resin. That is definitely a knowledge that you probably want, because everybody has problems at one point in time with bubbles. Now the resin I use is called pseudo resin, and it literally does not bubble very often, and it's probably more user error than it is anything else. So you see how I left that tiger lily with a petal falling off? That was my intentions. Just so you know, and this is exactly why I like the plywood. Because we're going to move on to the next one. And as you can see, I started this one and I let it cure a little bit, and now we're coming back to it. So later on today, I have to take my parrot up to a veterinarian that is an hour and 10 minutes away from me, and I am not looking forward to that. But the poor baby has not been herself, and I need to make sure that she is healthy, and only doing what she's doing because she's being stubborn. I found out that the parrot is, I think my mom said, 39 years old. We've had her since 1982. And she used to be very talkative, and she wasn't really skittish of anything. And now she is not talking. She is very skittish, and she squawks like crazy that she never really squawked before. Not like this anyway, so if anybody has any suggestion on birds, hit me up with them. So as you can see, I am again building the tiger lily. This is a beautiful tiger lily, guys. But again, you have to be careful because they are paper thin. So I'm going to let this sit up a little while. Or did let it set up a little while because I wanted to be able to look around on my own at the store. I don't know that that made any sense, did it? I don't think that that did. So please ignore what I just said. Again, I really tried to keep all four of these looking the same because they're going to the same family. So I didn't want one to look different than the other and think that they got like preferential treatment. So, and I love, love, love the daisy sunflower combo. Look at how that just went right into place, guys. This is a broken piece. It broke off while I was handling it. Oh, and I'm just going to be able to place it right in here, and it looks like it belongs there when I'm done. Building a daisy one petal at a time. Actually, it's not that bad. It's not one petal at a time. I have found that this is the area that I really, really, really want to concentrate my business on is the memorial pieces because I love knowing that I am giving something to somebody that they will treasure forever and it will help them in their grief process. So I'm very motivated to get more memorial pieces out there. So if you guys get tired of seeing memorial pieces, I am so sorry. I can't help it. If you've seen my flower collection, you would be going, oh my god. I will show it to you one day, though, soon. Who else is obsessed with flowers, whether they be real flowers or fake flowers? I am obsessed with them. So, again, you're really not going to see me pouring the layers onto these pieces because you could just figure whenever I take the piece away, it is done with the flower arranging and it is just going to be getting filled up two more times with resin to obviously get it full. So I usually have one layer poured into the piece when I start, and then I usually pour two more layers to get to the top. And with this mold, You have to make sure you get all the way to the top, otherwise, you won't have a candle holder. And I love the color combination, the yellow, the purple. I'm not sure what you would call the color of the flower, um, kind of like an orange flower for the focal point, but the blue looks great in there, the purple looks great in there, and that yellow pops. Let me know what you guys think. If you are thinking along the same lines as me. Remember, we are doing multiple of these, so I'm going to move right in from one to the other. Now, if you're wondering where I'm going with these pieces, I am putting them um, on my work table and covering them up to keep any dust off of them. This is a carnation. Carnation was a little bit different because um, the same principle applies to a carnation as a rose. You don't want to fill it up too far first with resin, because you don't want it to float for one and you don't want it to create bubbles for two. I kind of always start with the focal point and I move down to the feet and get that first. Look at how beautiful these blue flowers are. They are so pretty. And the blue, the color stayed in them very well for being dried. So I have got, I think, right around 300 followers on Facebook, and I really, really, really need to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you guys could please, please, please help me out and like, subscribe, and share this channel. Again, starting with the same stuff, this purple non popcorn, which is not actually baby's breath, but it's really pretty close. I'm really liking how that tiger lily's turning out. And I love the leaf. The leaf in these, I think, actually set the piece off. Here we go with more baby's breath. What is my motto? Baby's breath is a florist's dream. actually had this one. Well, nope, I didn't. I'm putting petals in it too. I was going to say it came out all in one piece, but again, these are flowers that I dried. Like, I started drying the flowers the day of these services so I could get the full pop of the color. I mean, look at the purples in there. Gorgeous. Now, whenever you're dried flowers, when you're using dried flowers like I'm using here, you have to remember that oh, what's the name of that? The gel beads. You have to remember that you have to brush off those what's kind of left on the flower before you put it in. Otherwise, you're going to have like a grainy look, and you don't want that. Again, tweezers are your best friend as well when you're doing these. And I will be giving these to the family member. I'll be giving his mom one, and both of his sisters, or all of his sisters, will get one of these as well. Including Dad, he's gonna get one too. So my husband is gonna also get one. He's taken, and I can't blame him because I don't know what I would do if I lost my son, one of my sons. So he's not taking it very well and can't really even look at pictures or anything that has to do with his son at this point. So he really won't be able to enjoy the pieces for a while, but that's okay. All right, we're almost to the exciting part: how to get bubbles out of a cured piece. And it's not this piece, it's a piece that I already have ready to go, already have the flowers in. Obviously, when I said that the piece is cured, it has cured with bubbles that I didn't catch. So as you can see here, I have bubbles in my piece, came out of the rose because I didn't flood the rose. And I fell asleep and didn't catch to pop the bubbles as they came up. So I'm going to take these scissors here, something sharp, anything sharp. Sometimes you might have to drill your holes, but these are so close to the surface that I didn't have to do that. So I'm just going to open up the bubbles with the scissors so that whenever I put resin in them, the resin is going to go down into the bubble with some help. I'm going to use these measuring cups to measure my resin with because you can get a more accurate measure, and your resin will cure much better if you have an accurate measure. And that's all I'm going to need is this measuring cup full because I'm at the very last pour of my piece. So I'm going to coax the resin to go into the bubbles, and once I get the air out of the bubbles, then I will put the rest of the resin over the whole piece. So you'll see as we go how I do this. And I've done this many times on many different pieces that ended up getting bubbles, and it covers it pretty well. I just sprayed my piece with some 90% alcohol, 91% alcohol, in order to hopefully stop more bubbles from showing up. So I put a little bit of resin in around the bubbles, and I'm going to take this toothpick and I'm going to roll the toothpick inside the bubble until the air comes to the top. So you'll see, you can actually see it when it happens. Whenever you can no longer see the bubble, and the air bubble actually comes out of um, the the bubble. It takes a while to do, and it definitely takes patience, but it is doable. So what I'm doing by spinning this around is I am um, causing the resin to go in there, and I'm causing the air pocket that is in there to come up to the surface. Again, it is a long process, and you do need to have some patience to do it. And I had quite a few smaller bubbles throughout this piece that I'm also going to fix as I'm doing this. So some of that you won't see in the video. You'll just see a shadow of me uh, doing this particular move. So I apologize. I'm not the greatest whenever it comes to zooming in, lighting, and all that stuff. I'm still working on all that. So I apologize for the glare that you're seeing right here, because it does make it makes it a little more difficult to see what's going on, but it is what it is. So you just keep spinning and spinning and spinning until the air pocket comes out of the bubble. There, see? Now I got smart. See, but you can hardly even see where the first bubble was anymore. So the process is working. Now I'm going to put my resin in the other areas. And again, I apologize that did not make sure that you had a better view of me doing this whole process. I'm carefully spreading the resin onto the piece so that we don't have a whole lot of runoff. You don't want overflow as much as possible because it's very hard to get that overflow off of the piece. Trust me, I know. But as you can see, there's no longer the two big bubbles that we were working on. Oh, see, I just created overflow. Okay, now I gotta go get the air pockets. Oh, I just sprayed it with some more alcohol. You can see the alcohol, and you can see when it actually dissipates, and it giving me a more of a glass-like finish. And if, for those that don't know, alcohol, 91% alcohol, will pop your bubbles. So you want to spritz alcohol on your piece as it's curing, like the first 15 minutes. And then after that, you don't want to spray it no more with the alcohol because it will put indents in your piece if it's too cured when you do it. So, again, this is a long process and I apologize, guys, but I wanted to make sure that you saw everything that I'm doing as far as the technical part of it. So, I didn't want to speed up the video any. Like I was telling you, this is me getting the air pockets out of some smaller bubbles around the piece. So bear with me. The torture will be over pretty quick. I promise. Look at that blue. Man, that blue is just gorgeous. Dark blue and the purple. It just makes the piece pop. You just want to keep doing this until you cannot see the air pocket no more. Because of course that's what bubbles are, is trapped air pockets. I also didn't want to play music during the video because I wanted to explain the process as I go. So again, spraying some more resin or some more alcohol on the piece. As that dissipates, your glass-like finish develops. So here we go now. We got the cured piece. This is a difficult mold to demold because there's a lot of corners and it is a deep mold. So I found that it is easier to start at the bottom like I'm doing here, getting the sharp corners out first. So I'll go from here to the top and do the top corners. Ta 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 ta. Again, very technical, kind of hard to demold, but there you have it. And look, can you see the bubbles? No, you can't. Neither can I. Now this is another piece that I did earlier that you guys seen me put together, and we are demolding. We are going to be demolding 4 of these babies. You see how they get stuck right here? So it's very strategic on getting these things out. I got 4 molds just because I was doing so many of these and I did not want to do one at a time. It would have took me forever, so I bought 4 of them. There, we got it. There's the next piece. You want to make sure, that's what I was talking about whenever I said you want to make sure you fill it all the way to the top without overflowing. Otherwise, you will not have a good place for your fake candle to go into. Here is the carnation piece. So when you're doing this, you want to think about the kind of flowers that you want, and you really need smaller flowers for this particular mold. You can't do a full rose in it. I've tried. you you can only do these little miniature roses. So if you had somebody who was interested in getting a piece done, you want to make sure that you kind of explain that to them so that when they buy their flowers, they can buy the right size flowers. I love demolding. This is like every resin artist's favorite part. Again, sorry about the camera. Sorry I'm not in the camera. I have bad hands, so trying to hold the piece out and camera view is difficult for me. So I again apologize for the camera angle. Some of them are pretty difficult to get out, so. But there's the next one. Our carnation piece. My camera is not focusing very well on the piece because it has the movement of me trying to demold them. So boy, I could have deleted a little bit of that video, huh? While I'm struggling to get this next one out. Number 4, and another carnation. I'm gonna have a video of how to mix the resin I use. Um, the best way to mix it. So stay tuned for that. Again, please like and subscribe to my channel so that I can get some more subscribers. Share, share, share. Definitely helps me out. And I love, love, love interaction with you guys because you guys help me just as much as me showing you what I'm doing. Some of the suggestions you guys come up with has helped me tremendously, and I've used quite a few of them. Again, off camera demolding because I cannot hold my hands up in camera range. Look at how clear this resin is, guys. I mean, this resin to me is the best resin for clear pieces. Kudos to Pudo. You can get that on Amazon. Pudo resin, you can get it in a gallon or you can get it in 32 ounce, I think. But I always buy the gallon because it's a little bit cheaper. But look at how clear those are. They are beautiful, guys. They turned out so good. So, so, so good. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope that I gave you some tips. Please let me know in the comments, and you guys have a wonderful day and happy crafting. Bye for now. Ta ta.